Last year, around February of 2024, I was driving with a friend. We were having a conversation around AI, and he was telling me what the future looks like. I obviously had, at the time, was using AI to make background images for an animation that I was working on. So I thought, well, being an animator myself and using AI, I know a few things about AI. And so I very confidently told him, to make images with AI is one thing, but the computation needed to make those images to become a video, AI would need to imagine the position of things, the shape of things, and keep them consistent. To me, I just thought that computation was not something that we would see in the near future. So I used my knowledge and skill set and experience to tell him basically that's not something that's going to happen in the near future. 2 weeks later, he sends me a link to a LinkedIn post. Interesting LinkedIn post. And in the post, it's a video that someone had made with one of the early models. And I remember just being like, man, I shouldn't have spoken so confidently. And it didn't even take 2 weeks for me to be proven wrong. I have a lot of experience, close to 10 years in animation. And initially, a huge chunk of my experience was 3D animation, but across the whole pipeline, from illustration, concept art, script, the storyboard, working on animatics, and the 3D modeling and rigging and animation itself, and doing simulations, cloth simulations, and adding compositing, adding all of those things, and editing and sound effects, etc. The whole shebang. Having all that, working for so many years to gain all these different skills to be competent, and then something comes along where with just a few prompts, it gives you a video that, in my experience, takes like the top artists being paid something like 100,000 or 200,000 a year to do. And they work on these films for 2 to 3 years, sometimes even 5 years. And yet AI just pushes out, hyper realistic or whatever in a matter of seconds. It can feel like you are becoming obsolete. So then one would ask, why would you still study animation? Like, why would I still tell someone to learn animation? And I'll answer that question with 2 reasons why. Animation, the word itself, comes from the Latin word animatio, which is, again, from the word animare, which is to bring to life. That is why we call, these creatures that run around, we call them animals. It's because they are living creatures. So that's where animal comes from. And so it's the same root word for animation. It's to bring to life. And it's an old word, and it used to mean, for instance, someone is dead and then you bring him to life. That's animation. Someone who is usually very excited and full of life will say he's an animated person. So that's where animation comes from. So the first reason is that animation is observing, understanding, translating, and communicating life. That's what animation is. It's understanding, it's observing, and then understanding. After you understand, you translate it and you communicate. That's what animation is. And so studying animation then is studying life. And the second reason why you should learn animation is because in that post that my friend sent to me, and with the video that had been generated by AI of a hyper-realistic human being, the writer of the post who had done the prompt said, many people say that AI will replace people's jobs. And he corrects and he says, it's not AI that will replace people's jobs. It is people using AI who will replace people's jobs. So what's the significance of those two things? Let me explain in a bit. The first reason, which is that what animation is. I had a conversation recently with a friend of mine who is a brilliant man, generating models of his own with AI, language models, etc. And one of the things in our conversations with him, especially being someone who is able to draw and paint, is that many of us who paint or animate or make film, there's some of us or a huge chunk of us who will do it simply because we want the story to be told, and however it can be told, then that's fine. But for a good number of us, the story is as important to us as how we tell it. And when you learn animation, you learn the principles of animation, the 12 principles of animation, something like anticipation, for instance. How do you communicate anticipation? How do you communicate appeal? That's another principle of animation, one of the 12 principles developed by Mr. Disney, Walt Disney. How do you communicate appeal? What makes something appealing? You need to know what that is. How do you stage? That's another one. How do you make sure that, why do some AI videos look strange? It's because of something like arcs and follow through. Ease in, ease out. So when you learn animation, you learn storytelling. You learn to observe life. You learn to observe why. One of the first things that you learn when you start animating is a walk cycle. And that teaches you to observe how, an old man walks, how a child walks, how a teenager who is feeling proud walks, how a lady walks. And so learning to animate teaches you to observe life. You observe, you do a ball bounce, you understand, okay, a ball is supposed to feel a certain way. And based on how it bounces, you know that it's heavy or it's not heavy. Now, once you understand those things, AI then just becomes a tool, whether you're using software or you're drawing or you're doing frame by frame or you're using AI. If you have the principles, then you will make good stuff with AI because you understand the principles. That's number one. And number two, borrowing from that, which is what I said, that it's not AI that will replace people, it's the people using AI. AI is just a tool. Everyone has access to AI right now. The same way for the past 30 years, most people have had access to animation software. Blender has been free for the longest time. Resolve is free. And yet there's people that are using Blender and they're making hundreds of millions of dollars. And yet there's some people, just basically it's there on the computer, it does nothing for them. So at the end of the day, AI is just a tool. What will separate the output is not the tool itself or the quality of the tool, even though one might argue, but the mind behind the tool. And that's why I'm saying it's not AI that will replace people, it's the people who use AI. So looking at those two reasons, what am I really saying? I'm really saying that you need to learn how to tell stories. You need to learn the principles of storytelling. Because if you don't understand the problems that AI video is solving, you won't appreciate its capacity. And I'll also tell you one thing, the people who are going to make the most with AI, there'll be a few hobbyists who might have wanted to tell stories and were unable to, and now they're able to. But the people who will do the most with AI is people in this who have built all these skills, who have spent their lifetimes perfecting skills and software and tools to animate and tell bigger and bigger stories. And now finally, they are able to, in a short span, bring even larger stories and larger worlds to life. Those are the people who will do the most with AI. And so simply having access to AI doesn't flatten the field. In humankind, every single thing, whether it's books, whether it's knowledge, whether it's power, whether it's internet, everything always falls into a bell curve. You will always have few people at the tail end, chunk of people that are in the middle, which is everyone right now who has access to AI. And then you'll have a few people at the very top who are very exceptional and will make exceptional stuff. And those people are right there because they had something that other people didn't have. And so by giving them something that should give everyone a fair playing starting point or playing field, they're able to be very exceptional. And this is something that is replicated across humankind. So if you are interested in telling stories and you are now excited seeing the things that AI is able to do right now, I would still encourage you to at least learn the very basics of animation. And then that will help you become a better storyteller. And you can use the tools available in an extraordinary way. It's better to do that which is average in an extraordinary way. And I think it's a beautiful time to be alive with all these tools available. I myself am excited to make a few things, and let's all make cool stuff and see what we're all capable of. So until next time, catch us here at Rolling Lens.